CPI every year. So every year that 3.7, we add 3%. The next year we add 3%. So as long as we go over that, the entire amount of the paving is subject to the discount. It's not just the amount over the 3.7 million that we spend, but it's the whole group of paving. But if we're $1 short of that maintenance of effort, then none of it is eligible for that 5 and 10%
And keep in mind, there's no risk, there's no penalty. It's just if we do things that fit this,
Right.
we get discount.
Yeah, we really had
That's
to
a good
do
deal, really.
nothing other than organize some type of structure where they felt
Yeah.
like they had an incentive to give us a discount too.
Yeah,
So
they had skin in the, what's the old saying, skin in the game.
yeah, and I came up with all these crazy ideas, and Sarah's like, "Why don't we just make an extra bracket?" And I'm like, "Because that's too simple. They wouldn't go for that."
And they
So
did.
they just ended up doing an extra
Now,
bracket.
that doesn't compound because we're spending so much this year, though.
It does not. No. So we put a 10-year schedule together that says, year number 1 is 3.7 or thereabouts, and then we built 3% on that
Okay.
every year.
Okay.
And so if we spend more, great. And what I told them is, even if we do spend a lot one year, what they could do is say, well, the next year we're not going to spend as much. Well, this gives an incentive to keep that level high, because if we don't, then we don't get that savings. So I think it gave some. It's like an insurance policy
Sure.
to them. Hey, if they give us a discount, then they may have more of a reason to stick to a higher dollar amount for an annual paving budget.
So we signed an annual contract with them, correct?
5 years.
5-year contract. And what price is locked in on the pavement? I mean, last year we had what, 30 something?
35%.
35% increase. So in that 5-year contract, is the increases coupled or not coupled, but limited?
Yes. Is it the oil cost that increases?
Yeah, there's a bituminous index that, which we set our index for this contract higher, so we actually get like a discount kind of based on what index we chose. So for now, we won't see any increases there. Now there is like a clause in the contract. They can, based on industry, they can come back and request increases, but they have to provide the justification and the reason why those materials are costing more.
It's all tied to petroleum, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cost of petroleum.
Yeah.
And Eddie, since we're not on TV, I'll tell you something
They
that,
are on TV.
Are we?
I just got a message that we're streaming.
I'll word this gently then.
All right, there you go.
I think that 35% increase is probably reflective of previous management that that probably wasn't as cognizant of the prices they were charging us.
Oh, over there.
Yes.
I got you.
So we are live.
So go ahead and call the meeting to order. Need an acceptance of the agenda. If there's no objection, we'll, or anything. I'm sorry, oops. Need to turn my phone off. Sorry, I wasn't just saying, there we go, that's my fault. We'll go ahead and call the, someone had to, there we go. All right, the special call meeting to order. Now I just knocked my agenda off. Hold on just a second. Oh, my Lord. Okay. So we need approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Okay, there's been a proper motion, and since there's two of us here this evening or this afternoon, we'll go ahead and I'll second that motion to get an approval. Are there any deletions or additions to the meeting or to the minutes? Hearing none, is everyone ready to vote? All in favor of passing the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Citizens' comments. I don't see anybody here that wants to talk about citizens or anything in the citizen, do you?
Nope.
All right, that's a good deal.
This is Todd Bond. He's our project manager.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Todd.
You want to announce yourself? You look like Jeff Sassy. Look at Jeff Sassy. Oh my God.
I may have a little bit more gray in my beard.
Yeah,
than you.
that may be. Okay, you want to go ahead and announce yourself and tell us, what you're doing and everything and welcome to Public Works Committee.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, started here April 15th of this year.
All right.
Project manager and ADA coordinator. And right now, just trying to figure out what we need to get done. So, and I haven't been to a Public Works Committee yet, so that's why I'm here.
Well, I'm glad, we're certainly glad to have you.
I appreciate
And
it.
anything we can ever do to help you, we're a phone call away. We're very, we try to help and as far as do what we can is all around to help. And it goes not only in our public works, but for anybody in here, if we can help them in any way, we will.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, and it's good to see you too.
Nice to see you.
All right. All right, our next is, get this thing. So, okay, we've got ordinances, no ordinances or resolutions this afternoon. So we'll go for our agenda items. Let's go to trash collection update.
Yep, so, see in your packet, we have our trash collection reported misses for the last month. Elevated at 310 misses for the month. There were a variety of things going on there, but I had asked Lori with Waste Pro to attend to answer any questions that we might have, especially as we go into the new contract starting July 1st. There's been a lot of coordination, a lot of preparation. I think that we're in a pretty good place, but if you have any questions about the spikes that we saw within the last month or the month prior, Lori will have some additional information related to that.
Why?
We, I think, face some employee challenges, just of not complying, say, with rules, policies, procedures, expectations. And so we have cut ties with some folks. And when we do that, we have people that can come in and can service. That puts an unfamiliar person in Hendersonville. It creates an opportunity for a miss for that oddball corner house or what have you. So we were able to service routes, but we needed to, say, remove some staff members that we just needed to part ways with. We have successfully hired, but it's a 4 to 6 week onboarding before we put someone in a truck. They've got to go through training locally. They go to Atlanta for training. They ride with a mentor for several weeks. So our goal was to get them hired, get them onboarded, and get them going as quickly as we could for the new contract, so that we just eliminated the issues that we were having and kind of started fresh.
Are you gonna be fully staffed when the new contract starts?
I mean, we're good. Routes are covered right now. We are still borrowing. We're kind of in that stage. The last and final stage is getting them signed off to go to their route, and those will drift in over the next couple of weeks. Either way, routes will be covered and we will be staffed, and we have another job fair scheduled for July as well.
Have we got our list from the city on those that have signed up for medical backdoor service?
We have listed, and poor Sarah may hate me, we have cross-checked. We have our list.
Okay.
The medical list, I feel that the team here has been very thorough just in the process and the communication. So we have that list. We then have our list of once a week paid backdoor, twice a week paid curbside, twice a week paid backdoor. We did in fact we had 3 customers that signed up for twice a week backdoor. So we did check the bucket that all categories have been selected by people. We sent out an email today to everyone who signed up for a service, just specific to their service. So there was one that went out to all the
Thank you.
backdoor customers, just kind of explaining what will happen,
Thanks.
their billing, their invoicing, who to contact, where to sign up. So we did all of that today. We'll be contacting all of the twice a week residents next week to tell them what their second service day is. Postcards should be hitting your mailbox next week with your potentially new service day. That we did have some changes. It's pretty minimal. We've already kind of discussed changes with Sarah too, like if we have to make a change, say in 3 or 4 years to some service days, we're kind of prepped for that already, just as the city grows. But I really feel like we've cross-checked that. We've gone over the master customer list, so I think the invoicing amount is accurate.
So, one of the things we're changing is we've got 2 garbage cans and 2 bag limits.
Yes.
So there's gonna be some people that's gonna have more than that. They didn't get the message.
Mhm.
So will you have some kind of sticker or some kind of communication so that these people, will know what the limit is? Okay. So
That's what we went over with Jesse, and
Okay.
I owe him an email still. It was kind of that transition plan for what we're gonna do for the first couple of weeks and then how we progress.
Okay,
But basically, we've said it worked out great. This turned into the rule of 2 because you have 2 bags, you have 2 cans, you also have 2 bulk items. So we'll be, if it's fine for me to share, we will, we'll be taking as much of that as possible. Like let's say you put 3 bags outside your can, we'll take 2, we'll leave that final one to leave us, sorry, that's me, to leave you with something that we can tag.
okay.
So like if you had 10 bags, we'll take 9 of them and we'll leave that 10th one to tag, just so that there's something remaining.
Okay.
So that way for people who, it's kind of like Jesse said, they may have missed the memo, they may be on vacation that first week, it's 4th of July.
Yeah.
So, and then we did customer service training with everybody kind of from our team and from the city's team to be prepared to answer calls. So,
So Sarah, when this goes into effect, it is July the 4th weekend. So are we gonna have enough staff in Public Works to handle the calls and complaints if they come, when they come in?
Yes, I've
Okay.
already scheduled for a temp to be
Good.
with us that first week.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
We'll
Very
be
good.
good. Thank you.
Well, let's just hope this thing goes a little smoother. And Mr. Sassy, did you have something?
I did. I have a question for you, and this might be for staff as well. But do you know how many signed up for the backdoor exception?
the medical,
Yeah, the medical exception,
I do, unless you.
6:30.
630.
Mhm.
What percentage is that? That's like what? That's
It's
less
About
than 1%.
63%.
It's what?
63% of the total we were allotted, so
Oh, yeah.
it's,
About 3%.
yeah, it's about 3%.
I mean, we've got 20,000 customers, so you can see,
Yeah.
that's what we've talked about, is just,
That's great. So it gives us some room to add some more if needed. Okay.
and I think we are prepared on our end that once those stickers start rolling out, that we expect if they missed all modes of communication, that we can get them onboarded and signed up and at least added on our end if they're paid. I think from the medical perspective, it's just how fast they can
Mhm.
get the forms completed.
So Sarah, I love the map that I guess Casey or staff put out, about the new routes.
Yes.
And it said, put your address in,
Mhm.
and it'll tell you what day you're picked up. I put my address in and I had somebody else said it's not working. You put your address in, it doesn't tell you you're picked up on Wednesday or you're picked up on Tuesday. So that search function
Yeah.
of the announcement is not working.
Okay.
So one of the comments I heard is that your phone has to be set up, links are activated. And I have this happen occasionally, that when you get a link by email, your phone is probably already set up that way, most of ours are. But some people don't want those links activated. And so if they would have clicked on that link, it would have gone nowhere.
Well,
So possibly that's a problem, because I know most people who have an address were able to get it.
Yeah.
okay.
Mine only, my address popped up and it's in a colored map, so
Mine too.
that to me was telling me where I was, but,
If you click on it, it'll tell you the day.
gotcha. I mean, I could tell by the colored map.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Click on it. Well, maybe that, okay, I didn't do that extra step.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
I'll mention that to Casey, because I'm sure people are gonna be
I
doing
mean, I
that.
just knew about the
Yeah.
color.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned that Durham Farms has got some changes. On the map, it didn't look like there were any changes in Durham Farms. It looks like all of Durham Farms is still Wednesday.
That would have, the section below Durham changed.
Um,
I'll have to map it.
all of Durham is Wednesday.
Yeah, okay.
The commercially zoned area within Durham
Oh, of the apartments.
I was like, we didn't say block that area out. But that has been tended to.
Well, we're not picking up trash there, are
Not on our contract now.
we? Okay.
No, we waste pro is, so you will still be
Okay.
seeing a truck through
Okay.
there.
Okay.
But completely separate.
Okay.
But I don't think we have any, do we have any other change?
No, I think that when I spoke about it before, I may have said there were changes to Durham, and I maybe more meant, I guess I was thinking there were changes because of Durham, because it had grown so large. I think it more impacted maybe surrounding areas and not Durham Farms then.
Yeah, Durham Farms grew so much, so we shifted that, the east side? Yeah, the east side of Saundersville Road, that was a change because of Durham.
Okay.
So like when you go down Saundersville Road, one side of it serviced on Thursday now, whereas it all used to be Wednesday. So that was an area.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion on that at all? I just had one call on mine. It was on, I can't think it's in Ward 2, it wasn't in Ward 1. And we were able to resolve that issue, so, it was fine, everything was good there, so. I don't really have anything, except that one, I thought I was gonna have to, but we resolved it, doing what aldermen do, right? Okay, all right, let's, if there's no other discussion for this meeting for the trash pickup, we'll go ahead and hopefully that will work. Everything will be peachy with all that. So we'll go ahead now to the paving list, the revised paving list for this year. And Sarah, do you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so what we've shared is our two paving lists for fiscal year 25. One is the paving list that will be funded through our operating budget.
Okay.
For roughly $3.9 million, and then the other list is to be funded with the tax referendum fund, so the PIP fund, and that one is roughly $3.4 million. And we will we'll begin paving pretty shortly in the next couple of weeks. Most likely, we'll start seeing some movement on that.
Good. All right. That's excellent.
Yes.
Good work on
Good
all
work.
these.
This is helpful.
It really is. I was looking at it, and it's the thing that I've been impressed with the mayor's administration as well as our public works. Everything's really looking balanced, where everybody's all the aldermen should be basically happy because they are getting, I guess, a piece of the pie on the financially speaking. But it looks like but as a whole, the city is well balanced about the paving. So does anybody have any other discussion right now? Oh, one other thing, while I've got you on, did we send this out on the email to the alderman yet, or are we gonna wait?
I was going to send it after this committee meeting.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. And
So question, there was a paving study done many years ago. I don't know, Mayor, if you were maybe an alderman when it was, or were you mayor
No,
then?
so I just become mayor, in fact. So I emailed Sarah yesterday about this. Every couple months, I take the invoices and take the work we've done, and I go back to that 2016 study
all right.
and I update it. It's a mess, but I've got notes on every line of that.
So my question is this, there was a maintenance of effort that study called for, that we needed to do so many miles a year. So how are we, I know that study is stale. I know that it's old, but are we getting close to the area, the amount of paving that we should to you know what I'm talking
I
about?
do, yes, we are. We're in a good place for that. It called for, they looked at it in a couple of different ways for different funding levels. And we're exceeding the minimum right now where we're at with our funding. And like last year with 3.7 million, that that funded that maintenance of effort through that plan. So we're in a good place.
So Jessica and I have had this conversation. Are we a couple years from going down to 5 million, 6 million? And we think at some point in the next couple of years, we probably will be.
Yes.
That's why I asked the question, long term.
Yeah, that's a wonderful situation. We never thought we'd be in that situation.
Right, I know when that came through our committee, we were looking at the numbers and it was like a pipe dream, like that's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
And so now look at us, so it does work, so.
And I like the signs you're gonna put up too. What's it gonna say? Your sales tax increase at work, or what's it gonna say?
Sales tax dollars at work, extra half-cent sales tax dollars at work. So
Good.
Casey's got a list of signs. She's sizing them to get the exact verbiage based on signs. So she's actually ordered signs, and we're gonna set them in the roadway. And we might have to shorten the verbiage a little bit, or maybe we can add to it. But that's one of the reasons these are clustered, so we don't have to buy some of these signs.
Good.
But yeah, we'll make sure they're visible.
Staff's really done a great job. And Mayor, this is a great accomplishment for our city.
And it's about sales tax dollars that are coming, to be quite honest with you. I think I do need to prepare you all for something. For the first time, probably ever, you're gonna get phone calls of people who are saying that they're tired of seeing all the paper.
God, if they did,
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop them on my knees to the Lord right then if they say that.
You're not wrong.
One presidential candidate said, you're gonna get tired of winning.
Yeah.
So I don't think so.
All right, that sounds good. Well, let's hope that's a reality there. All right, at this point, I'm sure that we're not meeting our next Tuesday for the board, but we are meeting whatever date that is at our next board. So be expected to answer some questions.
So I would like to move approval of the paving list. I don't know if it's needed, but I would like for there to be a record of this committee approving and adopting.
Yeah, and I'll second that motion because we only have two, again, for the record, that we've got two. I normally try to stay away from motions and seconds, but as a chairman, because most of the time it's inappropriate, but under the rule of parliamentary procedure, if you are lacking one, the chairman can step in. And so I'll second that motion. So there's been a proper motion, proper second. Is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none, is everyone ready to vote and is voting to approve the paving list for this fiscal year of 2025? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, it passes unanimously. It really is. We've really come a long way with the paving. And I know that Mayor Cleary is most of us here in this room are a long time working for the city, but it's amazing how far we've come, what it is now to what it was. Because I can remember it was really bad. Oh, Lord. And now, I'm not saying it's great now, but it is a lot better, the paving, and people they're not as complaining as much, but they're not saying don't quit paving, but they're saying y'all are doing a good job on that. So let everybody know properly. That's or the Rogers Group, that it does not go unnoticed. All right. Our next on the agenda, I think, is light synchronization.
Yes.
Yes, light synchronization. You want to give us a little update on that?
Yes. So the resubmittal that we had submitted recently, apparently we hadn't received all of the comments yet. Right of Way had some additional comments regarding some of the pole locations, but we're able to resolve those. There's nothing going on those poles, but they did have some other cleanup of the plans that they were requiring. So we will have to revise those and resubmit. So they'll be doing those. They'll be making those revisions this coming week. We did have 3 other traffic signals that were retimed this last week. Maple Drive North, Henderson, and Bonita on Main Street were tied into the coordinated timing plan. And so I know when I was driving into work this morning, I saw a significant improvement with that flow. So that's good news. While we work on some of these other things, I know that I've received a lot of positive feedback, or department has received a lot of positive feedback on the flow
Yeah.
through the corridors, which is
Yeah, I want to
positive
interrupt.
while we wait.
Yeah, I'm gonna interrupt you there. I had one actually, when did I take Mama to the eye doctor? When was that? Let's see, it was Wednesday. So I'm sitting in Dr. Solomon's office. She's getting ready to get her eyes, messing. They're good. I mean, I couldn't do it. I have to close my eyes because they stick the needle in her eye and put stuff in there, you know, and I'm okay with blood and stuff like that and guts and everything, but man, when they put that stuff in her eye, I go, oh. But she's a Skidmore. I mean, she takes it like a champ. So anyway, so we were sitting in the lobby area, and the guy said, "Mr. Skidmore," like that. And I'm, okay, you know. I said, yes, you know. And so he said, "I want you to know." I said, "Hey," goes, "I watched that on TV." And I said, "Oh yeah." I said, "That's, you know what I always say, greatest show in town, better than All My Children or One Life to Live," you know. And everybody was in the room started laughing. And so he said, "I just want you to know, are we through with the light synchronization project?" And I said, no, you know, we've just had we've been working on the red lights within the city. He goes, I got to be honest with you. I came through the other day on Main Street, and it was like the old days when we didn't have as many people as we do now, because I mean, he had a straight shot through, and I was like, man, that felt so good. For 30 years, people have never said that to me. And I was going like, yeah, well, we're working. That just shows you we're working for you. And then he just kind of smiled. But it was a relief. And then I had to go to a drainage problem over on the way other side of town, around off of Bluegrass. And man, I drove through. I was just going like, this is what I'm talking about. Because I mean, I was over there way faster than what I thought I was going to be. So anyway, I wanted to say how well that's going, and I'm looking forward to getting that whole thing completed. And people are noticing it, and so that's good. So thanks to y'all's efforts and the Board of Aldermen, Mayor and Alderman's efforts, we're seeing results of. You know, we've had some hard times at first, but we're seeing the results and people are noticing it. So anyway.
So
yes,
Sarah, this latest hiccup,
Mm-hmm.
is that going to change our start time of the first of the year? Is that in jeopardy? Is the whole project, phase 2, being stretched out further because of all of these back and forths?
No, my projection was conservative because I anticipated some of this. So I think that's still attainable with where we're at right now.
Good. All right. Any other further discussion on it? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say that the off-ramp exit 7 over here, it's like night and day. I mean, that used to get so backed up, and then when I was coming in here, it just breezed right through. Green. I'm like, what is going on here? Oh yeah.
It's okay, Jeff, when you're going 70 and 80. No offense, Chief.
Don't tell him.
Yeah,
I just
sorry,
want to hunt
I
me
didn't
down.
mean to say that.
But yeah, it's spot on. Great work. Those are visible improvements that our citizens get to see, and knows that the city is working for them, and we are working for them.
My pastor
I love
even
it.
said, I'm getting on to church on time. No Sunday because
Oh, Lord, that's good. All right. Any other
But we got to
version?
make sure pastor's on time.
That's it, man.
Gotta make sure you quit on
Right. That's the trouble. That's the straight trouble.
He gets to lunch faster if he doesn't.
Especially when it's football season,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that's funny. Okay, any further discussion on that? Now let's get to a couple of, an item that we have been on a serious note here about the speeding in residential areas and in the subdivisions and everything. We need an update on that.
Regarding the residential speed limit.
Yes, speed limit
Okay.
signs,
So
right?
as we discussed last month, Alderman Robertson requested we had a discussion about changing the ordinance to provide a residential speed limit of
Right.
25 miles per hour. And there was some history with that. The legislative history for that is essentially non-existent. I think that it must have died before it came to Public Works Committee. For whatever reason, it was not brought, or it just didn't get passed on to BOMA. But Erica and Annette both have searched and not been successful in locating legislative history for that. But I had a draft ordinance in my files where we were working on it. I think it was in 2018, 2019 timeframe. So that's where we're at. So if there's, and I think that we wanted to include
Yes,
Chief Jim Jones to provide some feedback on,
yes.
from his perspective.
Yeah, so, I mean, we get complaints in the neighborhoods about speeding, but what we find a lot of times when we go out there is the vast majority of the traffic is within the posted speed limit. And we have a few, we actually will, besides having officers out there with radar guns, we have the pole mounted speed tracking signs, and it's their data collectors also. So it will flash their speed at them when they're coming through, but it also logs the speed of every vehicle that passes there over X number of day period. And so what we find most of the time is that many of the people coming through there, speed limit's posted at 30, they're going below the speed limit anyway. They're somewhere between 26 and 29 miles an hour. Then you hit 30, and then we have the few that are going 35, 36. And then you're always going to have the one or two, outliers that they're maybe going 47, 50 through a neighborhood. When we have officers out there either on motorcycles, unmarked cars, marked cars, we rarely get that. I mean, they'll start issuing warnings when they get probably about 35, 36, they're going to give warnings. They're usually not going to write a citation for that when they're out there. They just want to educate the public. But obviously the higher speeds, if they're there when that happens, they're going to get a citation. So, and we've seen that time and again. I think one of the things, and we've actually gone out and had our officers out there with some radar units talking to citizens. And what a lot of times happens is if you're standing on the side of the road, whether you're going to your mailbox or you're walking down the road, what a car appears to be doing when it's going past you appears to be going, you're stationary, appears to be going way faster than it actually is. And a lot of that even has to do, believe it or not, with the size of the vehicle. The larger the vehicle, the less it appears that it's speeding. The smaller the vehicle, the faster it appears to be going. And literally, I mean, I can remember as a patrol officer doing that and asking the person, we were at their house and they had called in a speeding complaint. And I said, so how fast do you think that car's going? And they guessed the speed. They were way over. Right? So I hit it with a radar unit and showed it to them. And they were actually right at the speed limit. And so,
So
that's
I got a
what we
question.
see. Sure.
So we've got some neighborhoods, most of the newer neighborhoods are 25 miles an hour. Durham Farms, Alden Creek, Drake's Point, I'm sure in other parts of the summer, but some are 30 and some are 35. So my question is, if we pass legislation to mandate that all residential neighborhoods, and we have to define that, low volume would be 25 miles an hour, would that reduce speed in those neighborhoods that now it's 30 and 35 miles an hour?
I don't know that it would. I can't sit here and tell you. What it may do is increase the number of citations we issue for people who are, they've been used to driving 35 and a 30. They keep driving 35 and a 30, they may get citations. the part of the reason the 30 mile an hour in a residential section, state law says any unposted residential street in the state of Tennessee is 30 miles an hour. So that's why you'll see a lot of jurisdictions, when they do post a residential street, they just arbitrarily pick that 30 mile an hour speed limit, because that's already that's already the state law, that if it's not posted, residential streets are 30 miles an hour, and that's a state statute.
So if we assume that the majority of our citizens are law-abiding citizens, which we do, which I do. If we lower it from 35 or 30 to 25, wouldn't those law-abiding citizens reduce their speed in neighborhoods to 25 miles an hour?
We would say we hope so. I don't know that I could sit here and tell you that that would happen. I don't know that they would. People kind of get used to it, and really on many streets, and I look at, some of the residential streets, especially over off of, if you're over off New Shackle Island or maybe off of Walton Ferry, Saunders Ferry, if you get much over 30 on those streets anyway, it's pretty obvious to you you're speeding, just because of the character of the roadway. So that's why most people kind of hang at that 26, 27 to 30 mile an hour range all the time anyway. And I'll be honest with you, I believe most of them probably are not doing that intentionally and looking at their speedometer. I think that's just the perceived safe speed when you're driving through that area. That's why they hang with that.
So what would there be a fiscal note if legislation was passed to invoke a 25 mile an hour neighborhood speed limit? Would PD have a fiscal note?
We would not, public or the city itself would, from having to repost all the street signs.
Yes.
They're depending on. So what we do now, when we get obviously we get speeding complaints all the time in different areas, and we push those out to patrol division. When they're not on calls, try to work some traffic in these various residential areas. Primarily our traffic unit takes care of that, and they literally have a rotating list. It's kind of funny your paving list. I was thinking about that, because that's kind of how we do our speeding complaints. And so we've got them on a list, and those officers, when they're going out to work, they check the list, and they're going to go hit this area for a day or two. Then they're going to go hit another area for a day or two, and then another one. Then they're going to come back to the first one. So they try to keep those on a rotating list. So for us, I don't believe there'd be any kind of fiscal issue.
Good. So Sarah, what about Public Works? What would be the fiscal note for this if we maybe phased it in, not overnight, but if, what would be the cost to Public Works to repost? I mean, we'd still use the same post. We just unscrew the speed limit and put 25 instead of 30 or 35.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I believe the speed limit signs right now, I believe they're approximately $50 each. So it just depends on how we decided to implement and phase that, what that cost impact would be.
See, we had a public speaker in our last board meeting from Ward 5 complaining about this too. There does seem to be some inequities. If one neighborhood can get 25 and one can't get it unless they go through that big, traffic calming measures. I'm sensitive to the equity argument. It's not fair. So tell me why. I mean, can that be argued? That is not a concern, the equity argument?
Yeah, I would say it's probably still something to consider. I think, but specifically relating to the person who spoke at our last BOMA meeting, they had that particular subdivision had requested a traffic study for a reduced speed limit. And so we had evaluated it, and it did not meet the criteria to reduce the speed limit. But some roadways just naturally, holistically calm traffic because of the way they feel, and some of them were designed that way. So the speed limit conforms to the design of the roadway, and that's typically how speed limits were intended to be set. So even the MUTCD states that speed limits should be within 5 miles per hour of the 85th percentile speed. Now, the municipality can decide to set a, I'll say it wrong, but prima facie speed limit
Mhm.
for residential areas or low volume areas. But, from a traffic study, public works perspective, it's based on that 85th percentile speed for the roadway.
And that's what our data collectors, because y'all have asked us before when we turned in data studies to gather that data.
Yeah, so does other staff, Jesse, do you have anything to say, or the mayor on that? I mean, I'm really considering if the chairman will support, is resurrecting, I think Alderman Hamilton, I believe he's the one that introduced it, something similar to that, to implement a phased-in 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. So does anybody have
Mayor, did
any
you-
thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I think it comes down to what the board's preference is. I live in a neighborhood that's 25 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Like sort of Sarah said though, is that you come down a hill, there's a lot of trees, there's a couple roads there. It's naturally a 25 mile per hour road, and all the side ones are too. We occasionally get folks that will say that they live in a subdivision, it's not a newer subdivision, we don't care about them, and they're
Yeah.
30 miles per hour.
Equity.
It doesn't have to do with that. Now, I will say that I think some of the newer subdivisions probably really should have a higher speed limit.
Good luck with that.
You're exactly right. I don't want to go that direction. I don't
No.
think that's going to fly. I
No.
don't think that's going to fly at all. Nobody is emailing me or calling me asking me for higher speed limits.
Yes.
The emails and phone calls I get are for speed bumps and lower speed limits. That's the kind of thing. If we decide as a city that we want 25 to be the de facto speed limit, or if we want to put it in all the subdivisions or word it somewhat like that, I think we just have to be aware of what the cost might be at the time. Would have to be. That's the only caution I have.
And before you came back in, I asked Sarah that question, what's the fiscal note? They're $50 a side, she said, plus our labor installed. So what do you think, Mr. Chairman?
Well, I think what we need to do, and realistically speaking here, is we need to bring, and I remember, I know what happened with our former colleague who I served with, Hamilton, for Alderman Frost's ordinance, and what happened there. So it wasn't anything clandestine or anything like that. There was an agreement made, and he didn't have to bring it back up about going to the traffic safety committee that we had. And that's why it was never brought back here to this committee. So it just kind of died, and went on about its, whatever was going to happen, it would be happening to the traffic safety committee. But everything that was referenced to Public Works, we would pass it on. And that was the issue of that. So it wasn't anything clandestine about that. But times have changed now. And, one of the hardest things for aldermen to do sometimes is change is always hard to do. So we might want to entertain Alderman Frost's ordinance back and talk about it, further discussion. We have a full committee. So if we can put that back on the agenda for our next committee meeting, I don't know how you feel about it. I mean,
Well,
if you
yeah,
feel
that's-
differently,
no,
tell me.
That's good. In fact, I'd like for staff to work with Lance on revising that ordinance and bringing a actual template or working ordinance for our consideration at the next meeting. I mean, I think we've talked enough about it. I'd like to see a document and then have everybody talk about it at that time.
Yeah, because I think, as I recall, the ordinance, there'll probably be some things that do need to be changed on that. But you can look at it and you'll be able to tell. And then we'll just put it on the agenda for next time.
Okay.
So does that give you enough time?
Yes.
Okay, good. I figured it would, because.
Would you, I'll be glad to co-sponsor that with you. If
Sure.
you'd like to
Well,
put our two names on it.
yeah, that would be
And,
fine.
and Alderman Martin might as well, I just think it's, it's more and more people are walking in neighborhoods, and a lot of our older neighborhoods don't have sidewalks. And I just think if we can lower the speed just maybe 3, 4, 5 miles an hour, it makes it safer.
You forgot something. Number of distracted drivers.
Yeah, well, I was distracted.
So all those things, I think you're absolutely correct. But I'm seeing when I'm out bike riding and I'm seeing when I'm running, that sometimes you see the tops of people's heads, not their eyes.
Yeah.
Which is a violation of, you can't text and drive, can you?
Cannot.
Yeah.
It's hands-free state.
Can you deputize us? So we
So what's that on, Andy
get a
Griffith?
pop.
Citizens
That's
arrest,
it.
get a
Yeah,
pop.
yeah.
That's right, get a posse. Might not be a bad idea.
That's funny. But yeah, we'll put that on.
Sort of point out your faults, Eddie.
And Chief, you might have to come back, that meeting, I don't know, but it'll be on a night where you gotta be here anyway. So
Okay.
we'll have to do that, so, but thank you.
I'm gonna deputize Sarah, let her come.
There you go. That'd be good.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's a good idea. If there's no objection, we don't need to vote on that. We'll just ask for it to be done.
No
And
problem.
you're very welcome. So, okay,
Can you include me? Is it all right if I am added as?
sure,
as a
yes, sir,
sponsor?
by all means.
Thank you.
Now we've come to an issue that the mayor and I spoke about. We had a discussion about it, and he is, we agreed to this, which is very important. There was a really excellent meeting that I think actually all the Public Works Committee even came to finance about the sledding on Country Hills. And we just needed to kind of throw some ideas out of this committee, since we probably would be the ones that are fixing some, or be the department that would be overlooking the situation out there about the mess, golf.
Country
what hole-
Hills.
Yeah, but what a hole was it? It was
13, 6, 8, 9.
So we need to kind of sit back and like I said, we had a great discussion about it in Finance Committee. And, but we need to really sit down and think, what we need to kind of look at, if anything's any different, or we threw some ideas because we didn't really, well, it wasn't our committee to throw the ideas out. And so this is the proper committee to do that. At least that's my feeling, to do that. So do you all have any further discussion on that, since they did, of what we should do about it? I mean, after that committee met, and then now it's us, or?
Well, I think the chief is putting together an enforcement plan to take back to public safety, correct?
I am. So I have one. We were asked by public safety to
Right.
bring recommendations. Should the city, of course, we're not gonna get in a position of saying you should go one way or another, but
Right.
I mean, should the city decide to completely ban sledding out there, what our recommendations were of how to implement that. So, and I have that. I can give all of y'all a copy of it, but, and some of you may already have it, I'm not sure, but
Has it been shared with public safety committee?
not yet, because this committee met first, so I had that ready, so.
But Chief, you don't believe we need legislation for this?
I don't know that you need legislation. I just think that the city needs, almost says you need a copy.
Sure.
You got the contract, so.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we need legislation. I just think that the city, Beaumont needs to decide how they want to address this. And what their decision is. Are we going to, we're going to deal with that when it happens once every 4 years or so? Or are we going to make a decision to ban it? It hadn't really come up that much because it's, we don't routinely get that much snow in the city. Or if we do, we get it, it lasts a day or two. And from you know, the conversation I had with, and I apologize, I can't remember his name, the golf course manager.
Lynn,
You know, one of the things he mentioned was that normally the snow falls, they sled, it's gone, they stop, and it's not enough to create a whole lot of problems. Obviously, this last year, because it stayed longer, they sledded a lot more people sledding, it caused way more problems out there at the golf course. So our thing is, if the city decides to ban it, and we had several suggestions in the public safety committee, but ultimately it's an all or none thing. You're either going to allow it or you're not.
yeah.
You can't say we're going to allow some people to sled, not others, and you know, we just can't do that. So our recommendations were, if the city decides to do that the golf course posts no trespassing signs along the entire boundary of the golf course. Simple fact is, if you're not there as a registered golfer, you shouldn't be on the golf course to begin with. And so posting those no trespassing signs, they can add additional wording if they like, golf course for registered golfers only, however they want to do it. But no trespassing is pretty plain. It means no trespassing. Make sure that we put out through the city, social media, public notice to try to get everybody educated on the front end that sledding at the golf course, being on the golf course, at any time that it's closed is prohibited, to make sure everybody tries to know. And then the golf course posting one of their employees out there during a snow event 24 hours a day. And then, you know, they can, I don't mean the same person staying 24 hours a day, obviously, but they can do it in shifts. Can warn people, and then they can contact us immediately if they meet any, you know, where somebody says, well, we're sledding anyway, you call us. And then we're going to add that as part of a directed patrol schedule to patrol during the snow event. And as the calls that they're answering allows them to, they'll be out there checking the golf course also. But just keep in mind, if that happens, they're going to be issuing citations to anybody for whether it's for trespassing, littering, vandalism, but primarily, you know, is trespassing statute. If you're in violation of that, you're going to be cited in either general sessions court or juvenile court, depending on your age.
So, and you may not know this, but Andy may, and Andy and the parks do a great job in working with the golf course. And I really appreciate their effort here. But was there more issues this last time than sledding? Was there a fire built, and was there a firearm complaint at that?
I
during that
addressed
time?
that. Somebody brought that up, but it had nothing to do with country.
Okay.
That
But
was
there,
mentioned to me. When I looked into it, it had nothing to do with that.
but there was a fire built on one of the greens, and so there was litter that the golf course had to clean up, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's not just the damage of sledding, but it's acts of hooliganism, you know.
Well, it takes a few people to run it for everybody. So
Right. So
I mean, we had everything from people using the restroom in people's yards to
Yeah.
the fire on the green and more.
So, Chief, do we also need a fence? Do we need to build a fence? Not a security fence, but just something would that deter?
it would be helpful. I mean, obviously, besides no trespassing, anytime you fence off property, it helps limit access. Because, you know, we joke about a lock keeps honest people honest. You know, it's kind of like what you mentioned a minute ago about the majority of people following the speed limit. Well, if we put up no trespassing signs and a fence, probably the majority of people are going to follow that. If anything, what would help them for us, our biggest concerns is somebody being out on the park or the golf course property on an ATV, because we know that's going to tear it up. And obviously, if our officers catch them, they're going to.
Did that happen this last time?
I don't know.
That
if it
didn't
did
happen this time, it happened
was
the time before.
But if we catch them, they're going to be charged.
Okay.
And that's absolutely a vandalism charge, because we know. You know, it's kind of like us catching people in the parks off in one of the fields cutting donuts. I mean, they're going to be charged for that damage. So a fence would definitely help with that also. And most people probably would not climb a fence to,
So I've got a couple of suggestions of your plan. One, the first one, that no trespassing. Who do you envision posting those signs for the city?
the golf course. The gentleman's on the golf course commission. We had that discussion a lot. I mean, and he said, yeah,
But is
we-
that the right thing to do, to have the golf course do that? Or would it have any more force if the city did that?
it wouldn't matter. Once property, I mean, they're the controlling entity of that property. Although the city owns it, they control it. We contract with them to control it. It really, from a legal standpoint, it doesn't matter who posts.
Okay,
We could, they could, as long as it's posted.
okay. I didn't know. And, so the idea is for the golf course to post those, but with approval from PD, that the sign fit, I mean, I don't know, it's just no trespassing is,
Sufficient.
We don't have to have the ordinance on there, the city code.
I don't, unless it's changed recently, you're not required to post the legislative
All right.
code, just no trespassing, you
Hey,
no
I've seen
trespassing on the
on
golf
some
course.
courses I've played on, they do have that. They have that no trespassing subject to ordinance, blah, blah,
Yeah, I
blah.
think
And I'll
we've been
tell
told
you,
we had to do that on parking signs in the past.
You do for you're supposed to for handicap, but ADA stuff.
I'm
But if
for-
you,
No parking.
it would, if I was gonna do that and put that on there, I would use the Tennessee code, not a city ordinance code. I mean, cause if we charge them with trespassing, we're gonna charge through state court. We're not gonna charge through
I
city
just
court.
think that might have a little more
Bite to it.
deterrent
Sure,
effect.
sure. You can put, I can provide the TCA and we can put it on. there.
Maybe Andy, y'all, the management group can work with staff to make sure that it looks
I mean, it's the
official.
city's money, one way or the other.
It is.
Whether the
And
golf
it-
course pays for it or we pay for it.
And if you're
That's
posting a
city
sign
property.
to have had the TCA code put on there under no trespassing, would be minimal, if any, additional costs while they're already making the sign.
So, that's a pretty nice neighborhood. They have an HOA. I mean, that's Ward 5, but I would assume they have an HOA. So before we put signs in there, we just might need to touch base with the HOA, to let them know, there's no homes right there where the signs would be, are there, Andy?
Well, the signs
There are
are
homes.
on
Homes go all the way up the
property.
hill. So where people walk through yards to get to the putting green.
Yeah, I'm trying to anticipate complaints, from the neighbors.
Oh, I think they're gonna be delighted. I mean, they're not gonna love the signs, but I think they're gonna be delighted.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm happy to contact the HOH. And so a lot of them live let's say a 7-iron from my front door.
Okay.
So, there's a house across the street, backs up to them, another house, and then, so I've gotten to know a lot of those folks.
Pretty good 7-iron.
Yeah,
No.
he's a member of the club.
Man, he's got me when he said 7. I was like, dang, that's
That'd be
awful. That's
That
pretty
was a
good.
fade or a
It'd
hook?
be a hybrid.
So the second thing is the keeping someone at the golf course the whole time. Andy, do you have any thoughts on that? It's gonna be
It's a loaded
pretty,
question.
it's gonna be pretty expensive and,
I mean, there may be some golf course employees that would want to get paid a lot of extra money to sit up there. I don't know.
so is there
I
a
don't
way
know
that
they'd have to be there all night, but maybe if they're there
Is
till
there a
like
way
10
that we
o'clock
can
or something.
get citizens to inform us?
Well, obviously, if we get a call from a resident that there's people on the golf course, the police are gonna respond out there.
That's what's been happening. The residents have been calling either the police or me or an alderman or the golf course.
So it might be a good idea to have the phone number on that sign too, then.
We could post it.
So did we get calls last time? Did PD get calls on
Oh,
that?
I got calls.
And did we make calls? Did we send a patrol?
Yeah, well, we did, but what we literally did was we set up a directed patrol schedule and put an officer going out there every hour to 2 hours. They were literally going out there and walking out on the golf course. And then it's just, obviously, if we have a call of a car crash, and we have a call of somebody's on the golf course, the car crash is gonna way more take priority. And so again, I'm going with the theory that if somebody just gets, if they know somebody's there and they get a warning to stay off the golf course, you know, that's probably gonna, most people are gonna go, oh, okay, there's somebody here watching us. We're out, we're leaving, as opposed to waiting for them to start sledding and then the neighbors start calling. It's just more opportunity for them to be.
So Mayor, do you envision a communication to the neighbors? Is that Masters Glen?
There are actually two of them. There's Masters Glen and Country Hills. They have two separate ones. They work pretty close with each other.
So do you envision sending a letter or sending out something to all the residents there of what we're planning to do, or?
I'll probably send a letter to the HOA folks and ask them what they think the best approach is. And also check and see if they have their annual meeting coming up.
Yeah.
And maybe drop in on that.
Good.
I'm sure I'll get an ear full, and that's fine.
Good idea.
I think what we need though is, are we being told this is what we're gonna do? We're no longer, no one is sledding. That's, I think, what we need, or what Chief Jones is asking for sure.
Yeah, I
That will
need,
have to go to the Board of Mayor and Alderman.
yeah, I need Bowman to make that decision, and then once the decision's made, then we'll.
Well, that's why I asked you, do we need legislation, a resolution or something? You know, I mean, I'm willing to, as one alderman say, I want to ban it. It's too expensive to the city. You know, it's getting out of hand. So, but I don't know how we get Bowman to speak as a voice, as one.
I mean, a resolution might possibly do that. I don't know, new you know, so we know we have rules that govern our actual city parks. And I'm trying to, you know, so we kind of started off with this last year. We just came up with a plan. So we're gonna treat this like a park, close to 10 o'clock. Then,
Yeah.
and because there was no set guidance to say you can or can't sled there, so we said at 10 o'clock, everybody's out.
Yeah.
And literally our officers, in fact, you're talking about the litter, two of my officers were up there and organized a cleanup crew under threat of citation to pick up litter and trash. They said, we didn't really do all this. They said, it doesn't matter, you're cleaning it up, or we're gonna start writing citations. So they did. Because they have to take about 3 bags of trash. And so that worked for that time, but part of the problem is too, we get out there and either the people are leaving or the people that were causing the problem are gone. And it's just the sledders, there's, you know, kids and some adult, their parents, and they're not causing a problem when the officers get there. So literally, we just let everybody know, if you're here after 10 o'clock, you're gonna get charged with trespass. So we treated it like you were in a city park after dark. So what we need, what will help us, whether it's by resolution or Bowman just agrees and says this is how we want to handle Country Hills this way, then we'll go forward and enforce it.
Let's ask Lance.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Let me entertain or suggest this to you. You know, I'm particular about procedure. And I, you know, and it does slow down a lot of legislation, but in the long run, we're better off for it. I'd like to see what the Parks Board, I don't know if you've even, I'm sure you've thought about it.
It'd be the golf commission.
It'd be the Golf Course Commission to get their approval as well too. And that'll give it more teeth at the board when we discuss it, because I got a feeling it's gonna be unanimous.
Oh, I assure you.
I have no
it will
doubt.
be. I assure you. Yeah.
Because it's
Make
several
I can
thousand
take these
dollars.
recommendations to the golf commission from police and get them to weigh in on it.
Good.
That'd be great if you could do
It's
that.
not gonna snow.
Then that gives you all something to go off of that says our golf commission is recommending that this becomes policy at the
Well,
golf
you know,
course.
here's the
You
thing.
may or may not have to vote on it.
Well, it's the money, I mean, the way that I look at it, and I have to, it's the taxpayers' money that we're spending. I think, how much are they out, Mayor Blair, do you know? Do you
it's
remember?
30,000 right now.
We'll be out $30,000 to fix that hole.
You know, so
It may be worth 1,000 people sledding. I don't know. Probably not.
I would,
Place to sled.
Charging
Yeah.
$30 a pop.
I don't
We
know.
can set a ticket gate up there and
Have them pay green.
sell
I
hot
think-
chocolate.
I think our parks director, when he was in high school, probably went to Country Hills.
Yeah.
The former parks director used to live on that hole, so I probably did go over there.
Oh my gosh. All right. So that's what we're going to do. Thank you for this. And
Yeah.
We just will,
Thanks, Chief.
we'll let you do your thing with traffic, public safety, and then we'll come after you meet. When are they meeting? Is it next week? Do you know right offhand? The
Second week of July.
Oh, okay, yeah, so we'll just be cool about it, and then by then, I guess golf,
Golf Commission will meet the Monday after public safety.
okay, all right, so everything's gonna work out, that'll work out good. And then we'll bring it, we will ask for it to be brought back to Boma, I guess.
I mean, you may or may not have to vote on anything. Lance may say, if the commission
Yeah.
recommends that this is the operations of the golf course, then
Well, yeah, and I can see that happening because it could be an administrative issue, I mean, I don't know. But it could very well could be, but it just might have more, people might look at it a lot stronger when it's, their government saying.
I agree with that too.
Yeah, and I think for PD, it causes them
Yeah,
a little bit of pause to go out and give a 13-year-old
Right.
slider a ticket, as they don't know that Boma's behind supporting it.
oh,
And I think
absolutely.
for the officers on the ground, they're going to want to know that if they go out and they give a 13-year-old girl a ticket for sledding, that they have
It's
support.
not on him, it's us.
And if I was a city judge, I'd say, hey, where's the city ordinance or
Yeah. So,
where's some legislation on this? And that's why I asked from the beginning, was legislation needed? So let Lance decide.
all right, any further discussion on the sledding? Glad it came here, to our committee. Because I've been thinking about it, believe it or not, because I usually just sled on Neptune Drive, because it's got a big hill, man. And so I don't know, they go, well, is it okay? I've had people call me about it, and I said, come on down, man. Because I remember back in the day, the kids used to sell hot chocolate, because people use that hill there. And it's a good I mean, it's not a real bad hill. It's decent.
As long as you keep it under 25 miles an hour.
That's good, man. That was good. That is 25. You got it. All right. Is there any further discussion? Now we're on to other agenda items. And I have one, but I want, as I always do, entertain all our other. Does anybody have any other agenda? Anybody? Jesse? Do you? All right. No. Jeff? No. Jeff? None. Andy? Nobody? Mayor? No. Well, that's good, man. And we will not be meeting Tuesday. I want to let everybody know. So this meeting is why this is so early, that we are not meeting on Tuesday. So if you need to take your wife or your significant other for dinner on Tuesday, that's what you should do. Or get them some roses or whatever. You should do that. Okay, so now let's go to other agenda items. I have one. And I don't know if you all are familiar with this or not, but Piedmont Gas has been either doing their preliminary work, laying the groundwork for their gas lines on Walton Ferry Road. And they have been parking their machines, their trucks and everything on vacant property over there. And we've been requested, the city needs to tell them that they can't do that. And I'll get to my suggestion. This was what the suggestion was to me, that the city, like they remember how they were doing when they were doing the paving over on Donna, and they were parking on Harbor Court, I think it was, and they were sitting and it was damaging the road is what it was doing, and they moved them somewhere else. Well, I have not gone and looked at it, but the problem is they may be doing the same thing to here onto this issue, or to Piedmont Gas may be damaging this property. I did not make this suggestion to the property owner, But my work or my thought, I guess, on this is maybe they should get together, the property owner and Piedmont, and maybe have a contract or something and let them work it out unless the city needs to get involved in it. So, that's my thought on that. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but
So they're parking on private property?
yes, they are.
Big equipment.
Yes, trucks and all that stuff, and really they're not. I mean, I have to say they're not supposed to be doing that. They shouldn't. I mean, I can count several places, even behind Red Roosters, when the guys were parking behind there and they had all those big trucks, and I don't know if it's even there anymore, whether they're still doing it. They were parking their stuff on, even although they were parking in the property they owned, but also they were parking on private property. And they were, he was being real defiant about it. And Steve Mills had to come in and, put his foot down and say, look, you can't do that. It's private property. You just can't do that.
Is that a codes violation?
I don't remember. I don't know if it was a codes violation or I think Steve Mills just took care of it. So I don't know if I don't know. That's a good question, Eddie. I don't know.
Might have been if they had a permit through codes, then they have some authority to come in and say that. And the situation you mentioned with the paving, that was our paving contractor.
Right.
So we had the authority to.
Yeah, but also because I still have the pictures of that because it used to be in Ward 1, but now it's not anymore. And I had the pictures of it, and they were parking like in his yard. There were some that were there, and they cleaned it up. So, but they were doing that, and that was and they were leaving. The asphalt, just dropping down, or when they were getting ready to work that morning, some of it was dumped out. And that shouldn't be that. Shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
If you are, you should clean it up. And but anyway, that was what I have to take issue with that because I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
But now on this particular thing, that was my suggestion that they get together and just write up something that, if the property is damaged, that they repair it, as they found it,
Yeah.
when around there. So I don't know, but
Yeah. Public Works doesn't really have any authority in the situation if it's between a utility provider and the private property owner. So my recommendation would be for them to coordinate.
Okay, good deal. I just wanted to make sure that what was telling them correctly.
I believe so.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'll let these guys know. Because we have a good working relationship with Piedmont, that's my understanding. I mean, we don't bother them, they don't bother us. They just do their thing and they get out of here. And all right, good deal. I'll let them know I've done that. So is there any further discussion? We'll see you all at our next meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, and seconded, and it's adjourning at 4:53.